Hollywood's golden age dazzled the world with its glamour, its stars, and its dreams. But behind the glittering facade of movie premieres and studio contracts, many actors struggled with a darker reality. Substance abuse was widespread, often hidden by powerful studios and publicists. In this video, we will look at several iconic stars of classic Hollywood whose lives were touched by drug addiction. Judy Garland. Judy Garland is perhaps the most famous cautionary tale of classic Hollywood. Beginning her career at MGM as a teenager, she was placed under relentless studio control. Garland was expected to film, rehearse, record, and make public appearances with almost no rest. To keep her working, studio doctors began giving her amphetamines to boost her energy and barbiturates to help her sleep. This pattern started when she was still a minor and continued for years. By the time she reached adulthood, Garland had developed a severe dependence on these substances. Her erratic schedule and the strain of living up to her girl-next-door image only deepened the problem. Her struggles with addiction contributed to her professional setbacks and personal heartbreaks, and they ultimately led to her tragic death in 1969 at the age of 47. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was the embodiment of the Hollywood dream. Yet behind the screen persona was a woman grappling with crippling anxiety and chronic insomnia. To manage these issues, she increasingly relied on prescription sedatives, including barbiturates, which were widely used at the time but poorly understood for their addictive potential. Monroe's dependency developed gradually, exacerbated by the intense pressure she felt from studios, the press, and her personal life. Her substance use coincided with periods of depression and professional instability. In 1962, she died from an overdose of barbiturates at the age of 36. Though her death is still surrounded by speculation, it marked the devastating conclusion of a long struggle with addiction and mental health. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was one of the great matinee idols of the 1930s and 1940s, famous for his swashbuckling roles in adventure films. But his off-screen life was as notorious as his on-screen heroics. Flynn was a heavy drinker for most of his adult life, and by the 1950s he was also reported to be using morphine and other narcotics. Years of excess weakened his body, and his once vibrant appearance began to fade. Despite continuing to work in films, his health deteriorated rapidly, and he died in 1959 at the age of 50. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was one of the most gifted and sensitive actors of his generation. Celebrated for his intense performances and for helping pioneer the method style of acting in Hollywood. In 1956, he survived a catastrophic car accident that left him with severe facial injuries and chronic pain. In the aftermath, he developed a dependency on prescription painkillers and alcohol. Over the next decade, Clift's once promising career was overshadowed by his struggle with addiction and ill health. His performances remained remarkable, but his personal life became increasingly chaotic. He died of a heart attack in 1966 at the age of 45, a victim of both physical trauma and chemical dependency. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy, a two-time Academy Award winner and one of the most respected actors of his era, battled alcoholism throughout his adult life. Though he kept his addiction largely private, colleagues and friends knew about his drinking problem, which often strained his relationships and affected his health. Despite his struggles, Tracy maintained a remarkable career and delivered some of his finest performances late in life. But the toll of years of heavy drinking contributed to his declining health, and he died in 1967 at the age of 67. It is important to remember that many of these stars did not begin their careers as addicts. The studio system of the Golden Age demanded relentless productivity and perfection. Doctors on contract often supplied stimulants to keep actors working long hours and sedatives to help them sleep. This institutionalized use of drugs created conditions where dependency could develop quickly. especially among young performers who had little choice but to comply.